Hey folks, welcome to Tuesday and welcome to is it Tuesday? It's Tuesday, right, Tammy?
I think so, yes.
Okay. I always have to double check because some days I just don't even know. But
I hear ya.
welcome everybody. We're chatting about magnetic methods for attracting your ideal wedding client today. My name is Nikita Brown and I am the founder of Travel Agent Collective, and we help travel advisors grow their client list with social media. And we are so excited. I want to also let Tammy introduce herself. So I'm going to hand over the mic to her.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tami Santini, and I actually have had a travel agency for a long time. How many years now? I want to say like 14 years now, and I've been a destination wedding planner and now also a wedding business coach. So I am super excited to talk all about destination weddings and honeymoons and how we can attract your ideal wedding client today.
Absolutely. We're really excited for this conversation because it's always nice when we can niche down. I know Tammy is very niche and she coaches travel advisors in the wedding space, but I coach all travel advisors and I love opportunities to niche down because then we can give you really, really specific examples and tangible things that you can do to attract your ideal client, which is always good in my opinion. So we're going to jump in and start chatting about how to start attracting your ideal wedding client. If you are joining us, give us some love in the comments and let us know where you're tuning in from. Give us an emoji, a happy face, whatever you would like, but just let us know that you're here and that you're listening. If you're watching the replay, then just comment below and let us know that you're watching the replay. We'd love to connect with you after this. Now, we're going to be live here for a little while. If you have to leave for any reason or need to jump off and do something else, just know that the replay will be available in a few different places, actually, over on the Travel Agent Collective Facebook page, over on Tammy's Facebook page, and in our respective Facebook groups. So there's lots of places you'll be able to catch this if you do find that you need to jump off and do some other things because life happens.
That's right.
Absolutely. All right. Well, why don't we jump in, Tammy? Why don't we start with talking about niching, because I think this is important to remember because we have travel advisors who are generalists. We have some of you who have very specific destinations that you sell, very specific niches that you sell to. But I want to talk about this a little bit, maybe for the travel advisor who is tuning in and is not sure if they want to jump in and focus exclusively on wedding clients or not.
Well, let me share my story and how this whole thing works. So back in the day, it was late 2007. My husband was chatting with somebody and they told him about a travel business opportunity. And I was like, that sounds pretty exciting. And I actually had just lost my corporate America job. I worked for Avon Corporation as a business development manager. And so I was looking for something, had 5 kids at home, needed something flexible, and had never really traveled anywhere except for to Canada, Toronto, Nikita, by the way, it was that I had visited. Other than United States, I live in Michigan, by the way. So, it was like a full 6 hours international drive. I mean, like, this is a big time traveler here getting into the travel business. So needless to say, I didn't know anything. Officially opened my doors in 2008 when there was a recession and other travel agencies were closing their doors. So I knew I needed to do something different, and I knew I needed to get in the online space in order to have my business built. But when I started in this industry, to be honest with you, I literally thought I needed to be all things to all people. I thought I needed to know it all. And I soon found out that, oh my gosh, this is a huge world we live in. And there's no way I can know all of this. Absolutely not. Forget it. I'm out of here if I have to learn all this. But ultimately was like, you know what? I need something that's a little more recession proof. And then landed on, deciding to niche myself as a romance travel specialist. Honeymoons, at first, just honeymoons. I was a little scared of destination weddings, to be honest. And then eventually I put my big girl pants on and was brave enough to do destination weddings. But that was it was a pivotal point in my business when I decided to really to niche myself down to that degree of being a specialist for honeymoons, destination weddings, and specializing in Hawaii, Caribbean, Mexico. That's where I started, and that was plenty for me. And to be honest with you, as I did that, that's what made my business grow so quickly, and allowed me to like really actually create something amazing, where we eventually retired my husband from school teacher, and we paid cash for my kids to go to college, and paid cash for cars and all kinds of things. So niching is so powerful, and we think that we're going to miss out, but really it helps us to have that specialty so that we're really speaking to a specific client. And then obviously it was my job from there, when let's just say I've got a destination wedding group, and these people contact me, because they're going to Jeff and Amanda's wedding, or whoever's wedding it is. But it's my job then to let them know, hey, I do more than just destination weddings. Like, you can contact me for your family vacation. You can contact me for this, for that, birthday trip, group trip, whatever it might be. But that allowed me to get a lot of clients very, very quickly.
Right. And I love that you talk about, there's two things. First of all, the niching, and the fact that when you niche down, you can really get in there and speak to your ideal client, which this is going to be a theme throughout that what we talk about today, because we're talking about how to be more magnetic online. And one of the best ways to do that is to speak precisely to your ideal client and to their needs, to their desires, to all of the things that they want. And it's impossible to do that when you're trying to speak to everyone. When you try to speak to everyone, your message gets diluted, and people aren't really going to be able to register what it is you're trying to say to them. So niching is so important, especially when we look at your social media efforts. It's so much easier when you can get crystal clear and ignore all of the noise and focus exclusively on the person you're trying to reach. I love also that you said from the jump, when you started your business in 2008, you realized we need to be online, which, let me be honest with you, that's not a realization many businesses had back in 2008. Back in 2008, Facebook was just becoming a thing. Instagram didn't exist. TikTok didn't exist. And we were just starting to get into the whole social media space. And back in those days, your Facebook page reached all of the people you posted to. And it was a beautiful, beautiful time. And there was less. It was a good time on social media. So I love that right away you established the fact that you needed to be online. And for any travel advisors who are still on the fence about whether to go all in and be present online, I hope that everything that's been happening recently has been a little bit of a wake-up call and a little bit of a switch in the mindset. Because I think sometimes with social media, it's this great big thing, and we're like, okay, I'm going to try it. I'm going to do it, but we'll see. And it just becomes this thing that we have to just robotically do. And we forget that it is an opportunity and a gateway to reach potential customer, like millions of people. If you really want to and put in the work, you have access to millions of potential customers. Are you going to be able to serve them all? Probably not, unless you're willing to expand your agency. But the opportunity that's there online is really what we need to latch onto and see. What are some ways, and ask ourselves, what are some ways that I can reach, engage, and nurture my ideal client into an actual booking, into a destination wedding for myself? So we're going to talk about some of the ways that you can be more magnetic online, and some of the things you can do to help people find your business and start that process of nurturing them into a client. So I'm really excited to chat about this, because I love social media and you love weddings. And we have a little bit of common ground there, because my first business was when I was in university. I started a wedding photography business, and I used to shoot weddings. And I did do a couple of destination weddings as well back in those days. So, we're on the same, we love weddings.
That's so cool. That's awesome. But when we were first starting our business, bridal shows were the thing, and that's what we would do, right? We went to the bridal shows, and you talk to people, and you're on your feet all day, and you're just like exhausted over the whole thing. And it's very expensive to do a bridal show, and you just never know who you're going to meet and if it's going to pan out. Where we were just like, at that point, we were just like, everybody's going to Google this, no matter what. Even if they meet me, they're going to Google this. This is where these brides go to get information. So how can I get in front of them in a different way? And then how can I reach outside of my local area, right? So that's the beauty of building a business in today's world. To have that online presence is that we can work with people from all over the country, right? I'm in the US, so anyone in the US I can work with. I'm not stuck with just my specific area that I live. And that allowed me to find that ideal client who valued my services, wanted professional help, and was willing to pay my professional planning fee. But if I were to just stick with trying to market just to my local area, I probably would have hit a brick wall at some point, and likely wouldn't have achieved what I have achieved in my business at this point. So online presence and everything, it's so powerful, and you should be getting excited about the potential that this has for you to be appreciated, and for people to value your service and to desire and want to work with you. And it's not going to be like you're just hoping and praying and you're doing all this work and, oh my gosh, once again, they took my information and ran, and all that kind of stuff. Like, we want to get away from that and start working with those people who appreciate you and your professional services.
Absolutely. And really and truly, I think that that's where a bit of a mindset shift needs to happen around social media, because like I said before, it can just become this robotic thing that you do and you do. And again, you're like, why am I even posting? Why am I even on Instagram or Facebook? But when we frame it as an opportunity, it really becomes this endless thing for our business, where we get to come on this platform and reach more people outside of our physical geographical area than ever before, even from back in 2008 when you launched your business. Some of you listening here have probably been in business even longer than that. And so you know that the marketing game has changed, and how you reached people 20 years ago is different than now. But what's beautiful about now is that door has been cracked open and there's so much potential. But you talked about your ideal client, which I think is the first place to start when you're looking at being more magnetic online, is getting crystal clear about who you want to attract to your business. And then getting laser focused about focusing on them. So I think we both see eye to eye on this. It's always a good idea to, although it's not the fun part of marketing, it's the nitty gritty stuff, but it's worthwhile putting in the effort in the beginning to do this, because it's going to help you so much more in your marketing moving forward. And that's taking the time to do the work and identify exactly who your ideal client is. You want to understand demographically who they are, where they live, their salaries, how much money they make, their income, all of that stuff. But you also want to look at their interests, their pain points, their struggles, and understand a little bit about their life. And this comes in handy later when you're actually getting onto social media. So I don't know if you have anything you wanted to share, any other tips there, Tammy, but defining that perfect person for your business is essential. You should have that in your back pocket always. And, file it away, do the work, make some notes in a Google Doc, wherever you would like, but make sure that that's something that you can refer back to now and again, whenever you're creating any sort of marketing material, whether it's online or offline, but whenever you're creating your marketing material. So it's laser focused on catering to that person, because that's the first and most important way to make yourself more magnetic to them.
Absolutely. And I think that one of the things that we don't do often enough is take the time to, one, like you said, nobody wants to figure out who our ideal client is. But if we don't do that, we're talking to no one. If you're trying to talk to everyone, you're talking to no one. But one of the things that I like to do is kind of reverse engineer the process a little bit. And essentially, really, if you've been in the business for a while and you can think of some clients that you've worked with that you just absolutely loved working with them, and you're just like, oh my gosh, if I could have all clients like that, then just write down some descriptions of those people. But if you've never done that, worked with somebody before, or never had that opportunity to have like those clients that really just was like effortless to work with them, you loved working with them, they appreciated you, you should also consider thinking about your strengths. And I think that we're always so close to ourselves that we don't realize how amazing we are and how awesome we are. So first, let me just tell you that you're awesome and amazing.
I'll
so
second
go
that.
ahead and give yourself a little dance and a pat on the back because you're awesome. But we have to remember what our strengths are, because our strengths are going to help solve a problem for somebody. And the moment that we know what we're really good at, the moment we know who really needs our help. and who needs us to help be the solution to their problem. So, if you're really good at details, if you're very organized, for me personally, I realized that I was really good at finding the perfect match for my couples. So I needed to talk to the brides and grooms that were struggling on where to go for their destination wedding. So all of the words and everything that I would say on my website and in my Facebook posts and in my blog posts and in my videos that I made, I would always talk about that. I would talk about if you're struggling on where to go to, find the perfect fit for your destination wedding, I'm here to help because that's my specialty. I specialize in matching your vision to the perfect location for your destination wedding or honeymoon. So once I figured out like my claim to fame, my superpower, so to speak, the thing that I was like really, really good at, that helped me know who I was supposed to help. I'm not necessarily supposed to help the person that is just like, hey, I can get these people, they can find me, these outliers, so to speak, that I already know where I want to go. I just need you to help me with this. And I was referred to you. That's different. But when it comes to like marketing to somebody who's never met me before, I needed to use certain words to help them to understand how I'm going to help them. And then it helped weed out those people that that weren't a good match for me. Does that make sense? So really stop and think about what your strengths are, and how it is that you can fill that void. If you're like super detail oriented and organized, like a bride that has a hard time making decisions, a bride that is a little bit unorganized, a little bit of a scatterbrained person is going to work really well with you. You're not going to want to work you're not going to want to work with a bride that's already like a type A person, because you're going to do that, right? So we want to find those people that really, really need us and appreciate then those skills that you have.
You just perfectly encompassed and explained exactly why you need to identify your ideal client, because you need to be able to appeal to people and show them and frame for them how you're going to solve their problem. If you're trying to solve 50 people's problems, you're going to solve none of their problems. It's just going to go over their head. So once you've defined, and in the process of defining that ideal client, like Tammy mentioned, she was using the same messaging across all of her marketing material. Once you understand that ideal client, some of their pain points and their struggles, and again, like Tammy said, what your superpower is and how you can help them, then that's something that you want to continue to repeat again and again and again. That's what's going to help people understand exactly what you do and how you can help them. So when you're in the process of defining who your ideal client is, you're also looking for messaging too. Like, what am I going to say to help them understand that I can help them? And then you use that across all of your social media channels, across your blog, across your website, wherever you are in your live videos, to help them understand exactly what you do and how you can help them. So I love that. So all that is to say, if you have not defined who your ideal client is, today's the day.
That's right. Make
down.
it happen. We're telling you right now, make it happen. Write it down.
Absolutely. It's not the fun part, but it's a hill that you need to get over. So take some notes. You can even, if for those of you who are in the thick of things and you're like, oh, I actually don't know who my ideal client is. The good news is if you've been posting on social media and maybe you have some of your website stats, you can look at who's visiting your social media profiles and engaging with you on the demographic side. And even on your website, you may be able to get some hints from Google Analytics to see, okay, are there some hints here for how I can best serve and who I want to serve? So you've got some like little breadcrumbs that you can use to make some informed decisions about who you want to focus on. So today's the day.
That's right.
Today's the day.
It makes it so much easier, Nikita, when we know who we're talking to, right?
Absolutely.
We have to think about our businesses, especially for those of us who are solopreneurs. I know that there's a lot of you here with me who are solopreneurs. And so we can't be all things to all people. We certainly can't help all people. We don't need to attract all people, because we would literally lose our minds if we did. So you want to find those people, and you know what? We work a lot. So work with people you enjoy working with, and work with people who appreciate and value you and light you up, right? And so then it doesn't feel like work all the time, and they're not annoying you, and you're not dealing with bridezillas. Let somebody else deal with the bridezilla and the momzilla and all the groomzillas and every Zilla out there.
Absolutely. And I love what you said about you can't please everybody. The thing is, social media, there's so much, especially on social media and on the internet, there's so much. And if you're not resonating with people, chances are they're just going to keep scrolling and move on to the next account. So that's why it's so important to be able to specifically appeal to people in their in your messaging with the problems that you know you can help them solve, because that's going to help them to perk up right away and say, oh, okay, I'm intrigued, or I'm interested, or maybe this travel advisor does have something that I want or need, or maybe she can help me, and I'll follow her and I'll figure it out later, and I'm going to keep scrolling. But you don't want them to just keep scrolling because your message doesn't resonate, because you haven't taken the time to get clear about who it is you're trying to reach. So it's the day. We want to hear from you. All of you who have not defined your ideal client, come back after you're done this live and let us know when you've actually done it, because I would love to hear from you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You're going to feel so much better, and you're going to know what to say every time you're anywhere. You know, anytime you're posting anything, you know who you're talking to. It's like your friend, and you know exactly what they need to hear from you. And then it just cuts through all of the, oh, I could do this, I could do this, I could do this. And there's so many ideas. Let's just be real. And when we're focused, then we can know exactly what we can do and right, and how we can help, because we understand, right? That's where empathy comes in. We understand the struggle that our ideal wedding client is going through. And so we want to naturally help. That's why we're in the business, guys. Like, there's no reason for us to be in a service-oriented business unless we genuinely want to help people. So we want to then be able to show people how we help them, but we can't do that if we're talking to everyone and trying to help everyone, because we're one person. So it's okay. Like, I have 5 kids. I know I cannot all help them all at the same time every day, all day, because I would do nothing else. There's too many of them. They gang up on me. So I'm way outnumbered.
Yeah. And you want them to see any of your marketing material online, your website, your newsletter, your blog, your social media channels, and say, yes, this travel advisor gets me and I want to work with them. That's part of being magnetic. You want people to genuinely be vested in your business and interested and excited to work with you, because that's going to make all the difference in their decision-making process. Like, when was the last time you had the choice to work with a pleasant business that you liked and one that you didn't like? You would pick the business that you genuinely, or the person you genuinely enjoy working with. And so part of you being online, you want people to be able to see anything you put out there and say, they get me. Like, that's the problem I have, and I want this travel advisor to help me solve it. So that all comes back to knowing what to say to appeal to the person that you're trying to draw in and attract to your business. So now you've defined your client, you have all this juicy information that you're going to take and start using on social media. And one of the ways that you can take that information and use it and start putting out the feelers, because you want people to land on any of your stuff and say, okay, yeah, I'm intrigued, is your bio, your Instagram and your Facebook bio, or your about section. That's probably going to be one of the most high traffic areas of your social media channels, because people land on it and they either make a decision right away about whether they want to stick around and explore more or follow you and come back later, or they make a decision about whether they just want to hightail it out of there and they're done. So your bio is really important, because it's one of the best ways to help your ideal client kind of self-qualify themselves as a potential client to you. So this goes back to niching and being very clear about who you serve and how you can serve them in the first impression that people will get of you, which is in that bio that they stop on. So a few things that I recommend keeping in your Instagram and your Facebook bio. I like that Instagram and Facebook have kind of aligned a little bit. And so the bios, they don't look the same, but they do have some of the same features. So you want people to know who you serve and how you serve them right off the bat. So, and you wanted to do it in the simplest of terms possible, so people know. Like, for us in the industry, it's really fun to like give ourselves these elaborate names like wedding aficionado, or like wedding day magic maker. But we want people to know exactly what you do. So no fun names in those bios. You just want to be very clear so people know what you do. We can use the fun names behind the scenes in the industry, but for your ideal client, you want them to land on your profile and understand what you do, how you can help them right away, and be able to say, yes, I want to work with this travel advisor, or no, I
Yep.
don't. Because for the folks you don't want to work with, you want them to keep scrolling. You want them to just keep on going so you can attract the people that genuinely are there and you can convert into clients.
Yes, absolutely. And this is prime real estate, your Instagram bio, your Facebook bio. And what I always tell the students in my program too, is that when somebody lands, like you had said, Nikita, when they land on your profile, they want to be able to instantly determine if this is somebody who's going to help them. The bio is about your client. It's not about you. I'm going to repeat that.
Yeah.
The bio is about your client. It's not about you. This isn't, it's, I help, let's say, so let me give you a couple of examples. I help busy couples plan their destination wedding without stress and overwhelm. You're saying who you're helping. Maybe it's professional couples. Maybe it's, LGBTQ couples, whatever, whoever your couple, who is it that you help and how do you help them? And what are you doing? How does your help them essentially, right? Without stress and overwhelm, helps them to be able to, and then I'm specifically saying I help with destination weddings, right? You can put a little tropical emojis and that sort of thing to determine so that people understand that you're talking more about, a beach type of destination wedding, because obviously there's plenty of destination weddings and same with honeymoons, but we don't want to just put our name, our travel agency name on there. Your title, your actual title is searchable. So you don't want to put your travel agency name as your title. You want to have, like your first name and then your title. So if it's like destination wedding planner is searchable, destination wedding specialist is something that's searchable. So we want to be really careful with how we use our real estate on our bio. And then we want to make sure that what we're saying on our bio matches the images that we're sharing on our feed. Okay?
Absolutely.
Because
Absolutely.
I see some crazy stuff out there.
Yes, you're right. And I want to go back to the point that you made that it's about your ideal client. It's not about you, because it's so tempting to be like, boy mom with 5 kids who does weddings and also plans trips to here and here. Your bio is like the invitation to your epic party. And people want to know why they're going to come to your party. So you don't want it to be all about you. You're trying to tell them why they need to stick around and stay at your party. So your bio is the invitation, and then all of your content, that's the party content. That they're at the party now. And so you're serving up all of the things you promised to do in your bio. Is it luxury destination wedding planning?
Right.
You're going to want to share tips and information and images in your party, your feed, that matches what you've promised in your invitation, which is your bio.
Yes. And don't be afraid. Like we started off kind of talking about niching down. I know what's going through your mind right now.
Yes,
Like, I don't just work with couples. I don't just work with, destination weddings. That is correct. Okay. And that is true. And we're going to always get those outliers. But if you're talking to everyone, you're talking to no one. You don't want to just say that you're a travel agent. You don't want to just have your travel agency name there. You need to specifically be talking to someone and saying how you solve their problem and how you help them. And you will get those outliers who still just like you, and they're going to follow you anyway. Okay. Even though your bio says that you're talking about a destination wedding specialist and they just want to go on an anniversary trip, that's okay. But this is how we get found on Instagram. People get frustrated because they put so much time and energy into Instagram and into these social media platforms. But again, if you're not clear on who it is that you serve, you're just not going to be discovered. You're not going to be found by that person.
Right. And you're throwing spaghetti against the wall and hoping that some of it sticks, which isn't an effective strategy. What's smart is just to get really, really, really clear and attract people. And I know for some of you are like, hold on, you're telling me to potentially turn people away. You kind of are, because you're putting out the feelers to tell that ideal person you want them to come to your business. And that might mean that sometimes people might land on your profile and say, okay, this travel advisor maybe isn't the right fit. But like Tammy said, you're going to get people who will follow you and like you anyway. But the important thing is that you're not driving away the people who you do genuinely want to work with. And you run the risk, if you're just putting out generic general content that's not appealing to them, their struggles, and how you can help them. The good news that you mentioned in the beginning, Tammy, was that you can still, for those of you that are feeling really nervous and hesitant about niching down, you still have opportunities in the client relations process to retain people, even if you're not giving them destination wedding stuff after the fact. You still, from your client experience that you create, you're trying to get people in the door from social media. And then as you nurture them, you'll keep them as a client, regardless of whether, I'm going to assume that most of them are only planning one destination wedding for themselves and then maybe for their kids as they get older and are ready to, that their kids are grown up. But you can still retain business. But what you're doing to get them in the door is getting focused and getting them in the door so then you can nurture them. And that doesn't mean that when they're ready to go somewhere else, that they can't book with you. So I think such a smart strategy that you've got there, Tammy, is that you wow them in the client. Like social media is only the beginning because you're trying to attract them. Where really the magic happens is how you deal with them after to continue maintaining that relationship and retaining the client. That's probably alive for a whole other day, the client experience. But you want to get clear. For those of you who are hesitant, I'll give you an example for me. I don't follow, and not that I don't engage with anyone that's not a travel advisor on social media, but my sole focus is offering value and information to travel advisors. I have tour operators, I have hotels, I have all sorts of other people who follow me, and I do engage with my peers, which is important to me, but I'm laser focused on providing value to travel advisors only. I don't provide tips to hotels. I don't provide tips for tour operators. I provide information for travel advisors. And does that mean that sometimes people don't want to work with me? Yes, and I'm totally okay with that because I'm here to serve travel advisors. And does that mean that sometimes I might not have opportunities to collaborate? Yes, I'm so okay with that because that means I can serve my ideal client to a T and understand what your needs are and serve you, all of you watching as travel advisors, versus trying to serve all of the people in the travel industry, which would mean that I would not be able to serve any of you properly. So for those of you who are hesitant, niching down and getting clear and focused works, and it will help you in the content process, which we're going to talk about a little bit, but it will help you in the content process on social media, but across your website and in your blog content. Because like Tammy said, there's so many ideas probably floating around, but once you know who your ideal client is, it helps you to weed away all of the noise and get really clear, which for me helps with social media, especially because I'm always like, ooh, so many ideas, but how do we choose? We get clear about what our ideal client actually needs and what will be of value to them and what will help them. That helps to get rid of all the noise.
That's right. That's right. Because you'll understand, you'll have that empathy, you'll understand your client, and you'll be like, I know exactly what questions they have. I know exactly what they need to know in order to remove the struggle, remove the roadblock that they're facing. I know exactly how to help them because I understand exactly what they're dealing with and how, and then also understand myself and my superpower, my strength of how I can help them go from where they are to where they want to be. And then it just helps you be able to just get really clear on what you need to be sharing to really be of service to your ideal wedding client. And I made so many videos over the years, so many blog posts. Oh my goodness. But that's how people find me. And they're people I would have never met if I didn't create this content and help them solve a problem essentially. And they realized that I was somebody that they could, inquire with and get some help. And so that's how this whole thing works. It doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't. But when it does happen, hold on. Because it happens.
Absolutely.
You have to be prepared.
And that's such a good point with social media, especially because we think I'll just post a post and people will come rolling in the door, when in truth, social media is very much a nurturing process. And one of the ways that you nurture your ideal client into a booking is with the content that you put out there. And Tammy mentioned value. Value is really, really important. But once you define who your ideal client is, you understand what type of value they need. You understand their pain points so you can help solve them, or show in your content that you have the capabilities, the expertise, and the authority to solve their problems. But you also get to know what their interests are too, which should be a part of your content and building your relatability factor with them. Once you understand their pain points, their interests, and all the things about them, then you can start serving up content where they're going to be like, this travel advisor is great. She gets my pain points. She's interested in some of the same things I might be interested in. I want to work with her. And truly that is what makes all of the difference when it comes down to someone making that decision about who they want to work with. It comes down to who they feel most connected to, who they have that know, like, and trust factor with. And your content is how you build that know, like, trust. So value is probably the highest, I would say, is right up there, because when you can offer value, that's when you can demonstrate what you do. And then I would rank content about yourself in second place, because people need to know who the person behind the business, especially with something like a wedding day. I want to know all the people who are going to be involved in my wedding, the photographer, the videographer, the person who's planning the destination wedding, all of those folks. I want to know who they are before I decide whether I'm going to have them as part of the most important day, one of the most important days of my life. So having that, I need some water. I forgot. And usually my hubby can grab some for me, but he's not home. So we're stuck today. The cats, they don't have possible thumbs, so it's not going to work. But making sure that people know, like, and trust you. And in that know piece of your content, people need to know who the person behind the business is. The like and trust factor comes when you can offer them the value. But those three things are really important to be thinking about as you put out content, so people can get to know your business, they can get to trust that you can solve their problems, and then when the time comes for them to make the decision, you were there, you've been present, you've grown, you've nurtured them, and they're ready to make the decision, and you're the obvious choice to them.
Right, absolutely. My husband always says that we want to know our ideal clients so well that we're entering the conversation that's already going on in their head. And when you can get to that point, then you're gold. You're gold. You're always going to really, truly understand where your ideal client is coming from and how you can be of service to them. And I think that, nurturing them and being real. I think that for me personally, like, really showing who I am. Right now in social media, it's different than what it used to be. And people want that authentic self. They don't want you hiding behind your business name and behind your logo. They want to see who they're really working with, like Nikita said. And so for me personally, while my social media, like my Instagram feed looks really nice, I have like great images and all of that kind of stuff. I have professional photos, oh my gosh, look at me.
Sometimes it can feel that way. There are days where I'm like, oh, another photo of my face.
I know.
But
that's what everybody wants to see. But then somehow they get more likes than the other ones. So whatever.
They do.
You just have, but the stories is where I try to give a little bit more about that, peek behind the curtain, behind the scenes. Like, this is my life. This is who I am. This is, the craziness that you're going to get when you're working with me and my sense of humor or whatever it might be. And so have fun with your business. And, I think we take ourselves so seriously sometimes that we don't just let loose. And like, we are human beings. We do more than just own travel agencies and do weddings. Like, we have families and lives and interests and hobbies. Don't be afraid to incorporate that into your branding, really,
Absolutely. I 100% agree. I like to encourage travel advisors to use the 40-40-20 rule, where 40% of your content is lifestyle content, where you talk about yourself. And that's where I think the magic really happens, because that is what informs many people's decisions. You might not think that your morning coffee or walking your dog is relevant to people, but they're taking that all in and using it as a way to decide whether they want to work with you, whether they feel like there's a genuine connection there, especially with something like their wedding. The other 40% is where you talk about your business. And I recommend talking about your business in different ways that shows and demonstrates what you can do versus selling. And then reserve 20% for your hard call to action, and where you're actually saying book now and giving them like a clear, very clear promotion in place. But that lifestyle content is so important, because I think that's where many travel advisors hesitate. Like, do I really need to talk about myself? Do I want to talk about myself? And the answer is yes, because in the 2021 world that we're living in, know, like, trust is important, but trust is important, because people they feel a different way about travel right now. Everyone's at a different place with travel. And what's most going to be most important for many people moving forward is making an informed decision and having a trusted travel pro who can help them make an informed decision along the way. So you're not doing yourself any favors if you're only hiding behind the beautiful travel photos and the great mountaintops and the Eiffel Tower and all of those things, because you're missing out on an opportunity to help people get to know you, and they need to know the person behind the business. It makes all the difference whether they're going to work with you or someone else. What it oftentimes comes down to is who they feel most comfortable with, who they trust best, who they feel like they genuinely know. And a part of building that know factor is showing your face. So I'm a big advocate for showing your face, even though, like I said, some days I'm like, oh, another photo of me. We're going to share another photo of me. But it helps to build trust. And it gets the most engagement. It does. People want to see other faces, genuine faces. And we may be on social media. You may be on social media to promote your business and to talk about what you do as a travel advisor. But remember that that is not why your ideal client is usually on social media. If they're a bride or a future wedding client, they're doing things like talking to their friends, researching for their future wedding, making notes about things, looking for inspiration, talking to their friends and family, talking about their dog, their vacation, where they are going to buy their wedding dress from. And if you're all business all of the time, it's going to get tiresome for them. So you can switch your approach around and start thinking about some things you can talk about that would be relevant to their interests, things that they would find helpful, things that they would genuinely be able to say, oh, okay, I like that too. I like that. And that only happens when you show up authentically as yourself and show some of your personality. But that is what I have found in working in the travel industry, but even as a wedding photographer, that makes all the difference for that wedding client at the end of the day, because they're going to pick the vendor that they genuinely enjoy working with, because who wants to work with a miserable vendor at their wedding, right? So they're making decisions about who they like at the end of the day. Yeah. And that's like a small thing, but that is what informs people's decision-making, their buying habits.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely. And I think that sometimes we just get, we kind of get frozen over it, but really just stop to think about some simple things like, what was one of my favorite travel experiences? Like, what was the coolest tour I've ever done? What was the most unique encounter I had with like a local when I was on some island or whatever? What was the first time where I really felt like, gosh, I am so passionate about weddings. I am so passionate about helping brides and grooms. I am so passionate about, putting together destination weddings. Like, just talk about those. Like, I remember this time when I did this, and the first time I experienced whatever it might be. And you can share the same story more than one time, just in a different way, and like point out something different and unique about it, right? Like, I can tell you guys about this one time that my husband Lou and we went to a specific resort that has butler suites, and it was so amazing because my husband, while I was taking a shower, he called the butler, and we were getting ready for dinner and everything, and he called the butler to like decorate my suite, the suite romantically. And so then when we got back from dinner, we had the flower petals and the candles and the mood lighting and the music and the whirlpool tub with the champagne and the champagne glasses, everything. The bath was drawn. Oh my gosh. But see, I'm painting a picture of this experience, right? And because I had that experience, I can share that now with my clients and say, this is what your butler will do for you. You want to know why you should have a butler? Let me just tell you a story. Let me tell you a story real quick about my experience. And those are the little things like that people want to hear about. They want to hear about your experiences, and they don't always just want to see photos of your rooms. That's helpful, but they really want to know about the experience, and they want to see what kind of experience they're going to have outside when they're just enjoying the vacation. And to share with people your passion for travel, that's going to help them be attracted to you too, because you're going to be like, oh my gosh, you've got to check out this one restaurant. And then you start talking about it, and then they're all in, right? They're just like, okay, I got to hook up with this person. They're going to make sure that I have this amazing experience when I go to Jamaica or whatever it might be, right?
Yes. First of all, I would like a butler. Thank you. Hand that over. I want a butler. And second of all, you're so right. being able to speak from your own experience and talk about what the places you've stayed, the things you've done, the showing them what the experience is like. Cause I don't know about you, but I'm working with a travel advisor who knows what's up. Like I am, I can probably Google my room and do a little bit of that myself, but I'm working with a travel advisor who genuinely is like going to give me the restaurant recommendations, knows where I should go, is showing their expertise in ways that I wouldn't even think to know or be able to analyze the situation in. So when it comes to thinking about, if you're sitting here thinking, well, how do I talk about myself and what do I even say? You can start with your own travel experiences and some of the travel experiences from your clients as well. Did they go somewhere that they raved about when they came back, or they said something about this one little piece of a resort that they had their destination wedding at that you were like, oh, that's such a good way to look at that. Share all of that stuff. Those are some things to start talking about. And with all of your social media content, I recommend always speaking in first person, making your content a little bit more on the conversational side of things versus too formal or sounding like you're in a travel brochure, because you want to strip away the layers.
Yes.
You want to be as relatable as possible on social media, remembering again that your ideal client is here to be social. They're here to get inspiration. They're not here to read an encyclopedia. So remembering that, you can tweak your language and your content a little bit to make it more relatable, more authentically your own personality. The good news is that you don't need to be too buttoned up. You can be a little bit more yourself. Social media. This is the permission that you need. Take it to be yourself on social media, because that's what people want. And that's what's going to help you stand out with all of the other travel content that's out there.
Right. And let's say you're brand new. Okay. Because we all start with not knowing things and not traveling all the world. Okay. I mean, well, some people travel the world, then they become a travel advisor. For me, I traveled to Canada in a car for 6 hours, and then I became a travel advisor. So coming from a person who literally knew nothing about anything travel, you have to start somewhere. But let's say you have traveled at least one time. That's okay. You can talk about that. You don't have to say like the one time I went to, you can say, I remember the first time that I went to whatever it is, Jamaica, and this experience and that experience. I remember the first time I went and saw this specific resort or whatever. And this is how I felt. And this is what I liked about it. And this is what drew me in and whatever. Like, even if that was your only time, nobody needs to know that. Nobody, it's okay. Again, we only have to really know 10% more than our client in order to be the expert compared to them. So for the most part, you're good. Okay. So don't stress over that.
Even if you haven't been to a place, let's say it's on your bucket list, you can still talk about that place and talk about it in a way that, this is what I will do when I go there, or this is what I would like to do, or here's how I would, would tell my clients to experience this place, because we all haven't been everywhere. Most travel advisors have at least a few places they haven't been. So if for the travel advisor who's just starting out that maybe doesn't have as much travel experience as others, talk about it in a way that's going to showcase your expertise. At least show that you are well researched on that place and you know some of the little hidden gems there. We have 15 minutes left, and then we're actually heading over to Clubhouse to continue the conversation. So for any of you who are on Clubhouse, come over and join us. Tammy has a calendar invite already set up on her Clubhouse, so you can find her at Tammy Santini and set a reminder. So when we are live over there at 3 p.m., you can join the conversation, because we would love to hear from you guys and what you're doing to be more magnetic online. We're going to do a little bit of a Q&A over there. But to close things off, let's talk a little bit about consistency and how you can continue to show up, because we're saying, oh, go and figure out who your ideal client is, tweak your bio. But we're also saying, FYI, you need to tweak your content to speak to them. So how do we create better content consistently so we can keep showing up? And we have a few things we wanted to chat about on that. In that regard, once you've identified your ideal client, content becomes a lot easier to create, because like we talked about, it weeds out some of the noise.
Right.
It helps you get more laser focused. For me, consistency comes down to batching. And I think we see eye to eye on this, because it's one of the best ways to stay consistent is creating your content in batches. I like to, and for those of you who are wondering what batching is you sit down and you create a bunch of content at the same time to help you stay consistent. Because I post on social media every day, sometimes twice, and I'm also in my Instagram stories, and I do YouTube, and you do so many things on social media too, Tammy. So And it's impossible to do all of that without some planning, some batch creating content, really in truth. And I have no shame sharing the secret, but if you see a reel from me, chances are those reels were all created in one day. I just changed my outfit. So there's little tricks you can do along the way to make things easier for you. And for my, I batch create my content a week before the month starts. So I sit down and I plan all of my content, and then I roll it out on a weekly basis. So I can reevaluate. Just things change. Like last month, things changed like crazy in the travel industry. So I like to batch all of it at the beginning of the month. And then once a week, there's a check-in to make sure, is it still relevant? Does it still make sense? Do I want to swap it for something else because something came up? And that's how I batch create my content. I'd love to hear what you do, Tammy.
And that's awesome. And then another thing, if you do that batching, and like you said, things happen, things change, popping in, doing a live is not a bad thing to, just make sure that you're relevant, make sure you're letting your clients know that, hey, I'm on top of this. I understand that this just happened, and I wanted to just come on and share my thoughts on, this whole, so, if, for example, when everything changed where we had to, now have the negative COVID test in order to, get on board our flight to come back to the US, all of that. Like those are times where if you already had content planned and now that comes along, just pop in live, change a couple of things, for sure. So for me, I have a little bit more of, definitely with the batching, what I do for sure is just change my outfit. If I'm having a good hair and makeup day, like right now I have an eye infection, so I can't wear eye makeup. So I'm not going to be batching content, but I still showed up for you guys today. Love you all. Even though I'm like, but that's just the way it works. Right. So definitely, like, I'm a cardigan person. So I'll just be like, I'll just bring all my cardigans down. I'll swap out my scarves and away we go. I'll just make another quick little video or whatever it might be for content. But when it comes to strategy overall and how I repurpose as well as batch my content all in one shebang, is that I write a blog post, and every single week I have a Facebook Live. So first I write my blog post, then I host a Facebook Live on Mondays, and I talk about what I've written in that blog post. And then that next week, so that's on a Monday. Let's just start over, shall we? So again, this goes to show you don't have to be perfect when you do a live, okay?
Nor am I ever.
So I write a blog post. Yes, I write a blog post. I show up on Monday. I do a Facebook Live all about the content in that blog post. On the Friday, I actually post the blog. I send out an email to my list saying, hey, check out this awesome new stuff that I just said something about, and hopefully it's helpful to you. I say it a little bit better than that. But then the next week is all of my social media posts are about that blog post. And then all of my social media posts are really just like snippets of my blog and that lead people back to the blog post. And then of course, at the end of my blog post, I have some sort of opt-in, for people to get on my list. But that's how I do everything, so that I have this base thing. This blog post is the base content, and then I'm just repurposing it everywhere. And nobody is going to be like, oh my gosh, she's posting another post leading me to her blog, because it's different. It's a piece of my blog, and people don't always read your stuff. You're right. They just like your image. They don't always read it. And so they don't even know that this is Thursday, and I've already sent people on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday to my blog. And once again, I'm still sending them to my blog. So it's okay, but that's a good way to do it, because we've got to get that content out there and repurpose it so that we're not overwhelmed. Right. And then you can make too, if you do all of that in advance, then you can make Instagram stories where you do some face to camera, 30-second type things. You can make reels. All of it can be cohesive if you really want to have like that main platform, so that when you're batching the content, you have like a theme, an actual theme. Oh my gosh.
Yes. Themes. I'm a big fan of themes, and I'm a big fan of batch. I am a big fan of batching, but I'm a big fan of repurposing, because, my members of my collective, they get writing prompts for every day of the week. And while I also provide them with Instagram story prompts, I also let them know that, hey, FYI, this post that I'm telling you to elaborate on or talk about, you can use this as inspiration for a live, for a reel, for an Instagram story. There's always opportunity. You don't need to constantly be coming up with the same idea, like, or different ideas every single time and reinventing the wheel. So one of the things I recommend doing is having content pillars or content themes. And I recommend having at least seven. And how it works is you have every day of the week, you have a theme. So I have 7 to 10-ish content pillars. Sometimes I switch them out, but you can have 7. And one day I talk about myself. The next day I show behind the scenes in my business. The next day I share something inspirational. And the next day I offer a social media tip. Same thing goes for you guys. You can do the same thing, and you're repeating those same themes I'd bet nobody's noticed that every Monday I talk about myself. They will now because I've told you guys. I mean, with Thursdays, but no one knows that every Monday I talk about myself. And then every Wednesday I share a tip. And then every Friday I share some inspiration. So it's the same themes I repeat every single week. For you, it could be one day you talk about yourself. The next day you share a destination wedding tip. And then the next day you share a date night idea, an international date night idea. When it comes to your themes, you're coming back to that research that you've done about who your ideal client is, what their pain points are, what their struggles are, what their interests are, and creating themes around that. So you can keep serving them up content that you know they're going to like, but you don't need to reinvent the wheel. One of the things I like about content pillars is that instead of staring at a blank screen thinking, what do I talk about today? What do I even say? You at least have a theme to go on. So, okay, easy peasy. Today I'm talking about myself. So I need to think of a travel experience or a story or something that will give people insight into who I am. Okay, today I'm sharing a date night, an international date night idea because I know couples follow me. I need to think of what I'm going to share this week. And I'm sharing a tip. So I know like, you have a theme to go on. So you're not just starting with a blank slate, which I find incredibly helpful when I'm sitting there coming up with content at the beginning of the month. It gives me the checks and balances to know that my content is it's well balanced, that I'm hitting different points, but also that I don't need to start from scratch every single month and try and like rack my brain about what I'm going to talk about. I at least have a theme to go on. So I highly recommend content pillars. They're very helpful.
Yes. That is great. And now I'm going to totally pay attention to your.
I'm going to have to switch it up. And admittedly, like the last few weeks, I've had a lot of travel or not travel tips, but travel agent social media tips to share. So I've been doing that twice a week. I've subbed out one of my content pillars. So I may have to keep you guys on your toes a little bit, but the theme behind it is that you're repeating the same type of content every single week. It makes it easier for you. Again, it gets rid of that clutter, but it gives you a starting point. So you're not always like scratching your brain trying to rack it for things to post. You have that theme that you can lean on as a way to help jumpstart your creativity.
I think that's awesome. That's so great. You guys, this has been fabulous. And now we're going to be getting ready to jump over to Clubhouse. So hopefully we'll see some of you there, and then we'll be able to chat with you, answer questions, help you out personally with whatever you got going on in your business. So that's super, super exciting. But yeah, I love that idea of having those pillars of really just thinking about different themes for each day. And then just be yourself. Don't be afraid to be yourself and get out there and share little things about your life and you know who you are and why you love what you do and experiences you've had, all of that fun stuff. People want to hear that. People want to see it. They want to hear it. So it's really awesome.
Absolutely. And I will wager to say that they need to hear it. They need to hear it because you want them to be able to make an informed decision about who they want to work with. And you start to stick out in their mind when they start to pick up on who you are. If you're just posting generic content that looks like everyone else's, that isn't your personality, then you're just going to blend in with everybody else. The best thing you can do is leverage your best asset, which is the one thing no one else has, which is yourself. Nobody else has another version of you. So leverage that to stand out and be more magnetic to people. People relate to people more than they do brands and giant businesses. And that's really and truly one of the the best things you have on, especially on social media, above and beyond like those large OTAs and booking engines, they can't do what you can do on social media because they're massive corporations. So leverage the one thing that they don't have, which is you, a relatable person behind the business that people are going to help them make an informed decision about who they want to work with. So be yourself. Be
That's
yourself.
right.
It will pay off.
Yay. Okay. And Nikita, I think you've got a freebie that you have to offer for anybody who can't jump on Clubhouse with us. I do want to make sure that you know that I do have a wonderful free training, 6 ways to get quality wedding leads. Can I get an amen?
You can definitely over here on that.
So that you just go to brideattract.net, brideattract.net. And you can get that free video training. It's me and my wonderful husband. And Nikita, what do you have to show? You got a lot of good freebies, don't you?
Yes, I do. But I will share one today that I think you'll love. For those of you who are sitting here like, Nikita, you guys just told us we need to talk about ourselves and we need to change our content. And I don't even know where to start. I've got you. Head on over to travelagentcollective.com/bundle and download my 10-day social media content bundle. It's 10 days of social media posts. They're writing prompts that will help you get into the groove of storytelling and drawing from your own personal experiences to create content that's unique to your business. But it's going to help you, batch create some content and schedule it ahead of time so you can get ahead of the game and not have to stress too much about posting. So you can use those 10 days of content I've created for you to work ahead and start to think about who your ideal client is and tweak your content to match them. So that's at travelagentcollective.com/bundle.
Yes.
But thank you all for joining us. We have to log off. I'm so sad because this has been a great discussion, but I'm sad to leave y'all on Facebook. I know not all of you can join us over on Clubhouse, and I apologize for that. Take it up with Clubhouse gods because I can't help that. Unfortunately, I wish I could. I wish I could just crack the door open and let you all in, including you Android users. But for those of you who are going to join us on Clubhouse, we're going to be there in a minute. And for those of you who can't, thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll be back with some more content and some more lives to help you. But we would love to connect with you. If you haven't already followed us over on Facebook, I'm going to wager to assume that most of you are following us on Facebook since we're on Facebook. But if we haven't connected with you over on Instagram, come and follow me at Travel Agent Collective and Tammy over at
Tammy Santini.
All right, folks, thank you so much for joining us. We're going to catch you over on Clubhouse for those of you who are joining us, and everyone else, happy posting, happy wedding. I don't know. There has to be a way to say that, Tammy. You probably happy wedding planning. There we go.
Yes, happy wedding planning.
Happy wedding planning, and we'll catch you guys later. Have a great rest of your Tuesday.